I'm Joey Manson. I'm the Center Director of Seward Park Audubon, and you're in a virtual bird walk with the Green Seattle Partnership. So we have a number of things in store for you. We're going to be at 4 different parks. Like I said, we're just going to let a few more people jump in the room, and we're going to get going.
Oh, no.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, Bufflehead. Yeah.
Hi, Averill. You had a question? If anyone out there has any questions, by all means, put it in our Q&A section. We see we can get to those for you. And if I can have all my birders out there, if I can have all them mute their phones, we're going to go ahead and get started.
You can do a comparison on Cypria. And so there's the eared and there's the orange. The eared has a dark tip on its bill, and the orange has a cool.
Welcome, everyone.
Green parrot.
We are here on Veterans Day to deliver a bird walk for the Green Seattle Partnership. I first of all want to introduce myself. My name is Joey Manson, and I'm the Center Director of the Seward Park Audubon Center. And I first of all want to thank all of our volunteers and supporters, all the people you see out there today. Most of them are volunteers, and they're sharing their time, spending their efforts out there, sharing what they love, which is birds and birding.
Yeah, so we're trying to share this with everybody too. Yeah,
bring these things together. Without them, we can't do the programs we do. Someone actually donated a scope for us, and so we truly appreciate everyone who's able to do this. And of course, today is Veterans Day, and that is not lost on us at all. We have several people in our audience I know who are veterans. We have veterans rights leader Ryan, who will be here with us, and he'll be sharing more about what his organization does for veterans. But we want to make sure that we're honoring their contributions and their service and how they continue to support what we do in our communities and their connection to nature, birds, and everything else that makes this place home for us. I want to give a shout out and let Maya is with us from the Green Seattle Partnership. I want her to talk a little bit about what they do in their organization. And if we want to get involved with them, she can also talk about that. Maya, are you out there?
Yeah, thanks, Joey. And I appreciate that introduction. Yes, today there are many ways that we can honor all of the different entities who are helping to make today possible. So appreciative of the veterans who are out here today and your service. And also thank you, Joey, for recognizing the Coast Salish and Duwamish land that we reside on and enjoy these birds on today. Today is also the 5th day of our Green Seattle Days this year. Typically, Green Seattle Day is a really big volunteer event. Some of you have probably taken part before. Last year, we had 1,100 volunteers come out and plant native plants all over the city. This year, because of COVID, it's slightly different. So we have a whole week long of Green Seattle Days activities that you can participate at home and by exploring our urban forests in the city. If you live in Seattle, they are based around Seattle. I know some of you are joining us from elsewhere, and many of the activities are still applicable to other places in the country as well. So welcome, happy Green Seattle Days. I'll be here to answer any other questions that you might have along the way as well.
Thank you, Maya. All right, now let's get to some birds. All right, let's go out to Discovery Park, and I'm going to have the folks out there introduce themselves. Unmute your phone and say hi.
Hello, hello.
Hey, hello.
I'm Sydney.
This is Armand.
And we're out at Discovery Park today. We're out at the lighthouse if you've been out here, and it is a nice chilly morning, and it's beautiful out here.
And Sydney comes to us from the Feminist Bird Club, which we'll learn a little bit more about later. But all right, find us some birds, folks. Next, we're going to go over to the Montlake Fill, otherwise known as the Union Bay Natural Area. And we're going to see who's out there.
Oh, okay. Hey, greetings, everyone. My name is Ryan Mielcarek with Veteran Rites. Very excited to be out here at the Montlake Fill with our expert. I don't know what I'm doing really, but I love being out here. I'm just a veteran in nature, and I want to honor everyone on the call today that served, and plus your families that have carried what you've carried. Love you all deeply. And here's our expert.
Hi, I'm Ed Dominguez. Welcome to the Union Bay Natural Area, otherwise known as the Montlake Fill, which you'll bring over to the scope here. We've got a lot going on here out on Lake Washington. This is by Husky Stadium. We've got some of what I call our Arctic visitors, birds that summer up in the far north, Alaska, Northwest Territories, the Yukon, and then spend the winter with us. So we've got some American coots that are kind of like chickens on the water. They've come down from the Arctic. We've got American widgeons. We've got buffleheads, and they're all swimming by. And additionally, we can move around. We've got some bald eagles in a tree. We've got a Cooper's hawk in another tree, great blue heron, and some wood ducks. So lots to show you this morning.
All right, thank you, folks. Let's see, let's go to my home, Seward Park. And we got a couple of people out there, and let's zoom in and see what they're talking about this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oops, we're echoing. Go ahead and mute us.
Yeah. We're muted.
We are muted. Okay.
Oh, I know.
You got to turn your volume down. Turn
I think we got
the
it.
volume all the way down.
How's that?
Sounds better.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we're here at Seward Park. We're going to be introducing y'all to some backyard birds starting off. We're just happy to be here. I'm Irene.
My name is Sean.
All right, and they're both naturalists with Seward Park Audubon Center. All right, let's go to Meadowbrook Pond and see who we have out there. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, this is Terry Anderson with Audubon Washington. I've got my Seward Park hat on here, Joey, just for you. We're at the beautiful pond. Hi, I'm Monique Bartinen. And what are we seeing this week? Today? We are seeing a lot of great stuff. We had a flock of like 30 pine siskin fly in. It's a great year for pine siskin. They're doing very well. Also, right now, we're looking at a bufflehead in the pond. We also saw a horned grebe. We saw some Canada goose. There's a Steller's jay squawking in the background. You might have heard that. Spotted towhees, fox sparrows, all kinds of great stuff.
All right. So to all of our birders out there, just give a shout if you have something interesting you want us to put the spotlight on. But it looks like Ed and Ryan had something to take a look at, so we're going to send it back to them. Let's see, Ed and Ryan, what are you looking at?
We have a Cooper's hawk up in a tree branch. It's pretty good size, so I think it's a female. I would guess females in the hawk world are larger bodied than the males, and this is a pretty good sized bird. We have a Cooper's hawk nest right here in the Union Bay Natural Area, so this is either the parent or one of the progeny of that nest hanging out in their home territory looking for a meal. You can see it kind of looks like a football sitting in a tree. That's classic hawk shape. The long tail, kind of rounded on the bottoms, let you know it's a Cooper's hawk. And kind of when it turns its head in profile, you can see the sharp pointed beak that's good for picking apart its prey. So waiting for its morning brunch, a Cooper's hawk, female, here at Union Bay Natural Area.
All right. And while we're out there at the Union Bay Natural Area, Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about what your organization, Veterans Rites, does?
Thank you so much, everybody. So Veteran Rites, we're an organization really that brings our people back to nature after military service to address the big lie that we are anything but nature. And Seward Park Audubon has been really central in helping us form a nest here in Seattle, because we do our work healing ceremonies out in the wilderness of Eastern Washington, and then we do work in community. So it's really an interesting, special day. We use nature as a mirror to help our people come home back to who they really are and who they're called to be after military service. So we look forward to engaging more with Seward Park. Oh, I got this. I don't even know. What is that? See, I grew up in Vegas. I don't know the names of things. This whole journey back to the wilderness and nature, every day is a learning day. And oh my goodness, it's just taking my breath away. And that's really what we do, is give our people an opportunity to truly come home and rest and learn the names of things and come into deep healing. So, and we're just really happy to be here.
Thank you so much for that, Ryan. I was showing some slides of some of the things that you all are engaged in Seward Park. And, you know, we recognize the power of what you're doing. And believe me, folks, this person is tireless and unrelenting in what he's doing to welcome veterans back home. And so we're completely on board with whatever way we can support them. And they do some work with us in terms of getting out in nature and putting their hands in the soil with our reforestation activities. So they're integral in what we're doing with the Green Seattle Partnership and creating a legacy of natural spaces here in the city of Seattle. What do you got out there on the coast, Sydney and Armand?
We are looking at some redneck grebes. So if you want to pull up Armand's camera, if you can do that, because we can see it through his really nicely.
Okay, let's do that. Now, who is that out there we're looking at?
We're looking at some red-necked grebes.
Okay. Now, can you let our folks know what we kind of missed out on a little bit earlier this morning?
Some of the other birds we saw this morning. Yeah, we had lots of cormorants fly by, plenty of gulls, which are always hard to ID this time of year. We saw a couple surf scoter, which were really neat. I love seeing their bright, pretty colors. And of course, we got to see porpoises and harbor seals, which is really exciting to see out here at the lighthouse.
Well, of course, a corny person like myself, my comment was, it's always good to have a sense of porpoise. So I do want to let everyone know that she comes to us from a group called the Feminist Bird Club. And if you want to just share a little bit about what the Feminist Bird Club does, I'm sure our audience would love to hear that.
Yeah, of course. So the Feminist Bird Club, we are an inclusive birding group. And part of our goal is to provide a safe place to connect with nature. And we also fundraise for groups that protect the rights of Black, Indigenous, people of color, LGBTQIA+ folks, and of course, women as well. This summer, we did a big fundraiser for the Trans Women of Color Solidarity Network. We did a trivia through Zoom, which was really incredible. We've been a little bit quiet right now with COVID, but we're hoping to get walks started up every month again soon. So hopefully,
Joey, if we could break in, we got a great blue heron that's just swallowed a fish, and you got a nice close up of the fish going down the gullet. Oh, so there's the heron's face.
Okay.
Just swallowed a fish. Let me raise it up a little bit.
Beautiful bird.
Look at that. He's trying to swallow it down. Sorry to interrupt there, but
hey, no problem. And, can you tell us more about the great blue herons?
Great blue herons are the official bird of Seattle. They are water birds that are on saltwater, freshwater, lakes, rivers, streams, even in agricultural fields. And keep this one in the screen if I can. And they are big fish eaters. And so this guy has been hanging out here in the marsh all morning, and he just got his mid-morning snack.
Eventually,
they're sit and wait stalkers. They'll stalk up on fish and then just sit quietly and sit quietly and wait. And when something swims by, their long neck, which has 7 extra vertebrae compared to ours, in an S shape, is like a coiled spring, and boom, they strike with their long beak, will spear the fish or swallow it whole. And then this one here is still in the process of trying to get it down its gullet. You can see that big lump right in its throat. That's the fish it just ate.
All right.
Wow.
And Ryan, you could maybe pull back and zoom in. That way they could focus it a little bit easier. But yeah, that's a great shot, Ed. Thank you for that.
Look at that.
Hey, Terry and Ronique, what do you all have going on?
Let's see here. Can you hear us, Joey?
I certainly can.
Oh, right. Well, we've got a bufflehead out there. What else we have going on, Ronique?
So we have quite a few things. We have a little foster sparrow bird right just in front of us here. First of all, I wanted to say thank you to all veterans today for your service. A very special day indeed. Today, thank you, and always thank you. And also, I wanted to acknowledge we are on Duwamish land.
Let's see, can one of you turn your volumes down?
Talking about that here.
Ronique or Terry, can one of you turn your volumes down?
It's pretty amazing. It's actually it is an area that was created in 1996 by Seattle Public Utilities to mitigate stormwater detention, and flood control for the Thornton Creek area. So Thornton Creek is a giant creek that runs through urban Seattle, about 18 miles. This area here filters all the water before it gets to Lake Washington. So it's a really important place. And also there's a lot of plant restoration that's happened here. So as a result, there's a lot of native plants and there's a lot of local urban wildlife in the area.
That is wonderful.
So we are looking at this bufflehead out here. It's just kind of hanging out in the pond. Let me get my scope on it. There we go. And
also another thing I want to mention about Meadowbrook Pond here, for
those who
aren't familiar, it's kind of a hidden gem. It's not easy to find. It's right off a main street here in the Wedgwood neighborhood, northeast Seattle, but it is also an accessible birding spot. So meaning if you have any kind of mobility challenges or any other challenges that would prevent you maybe from getting outdoors, this place is an awesome place to come because they have ADA parking across the street.
That would prevent ADA parking across the street and a flat. You can see they have this boardwalk that's flat. They have multiple benches for sitting and for getting out of the sun. So there's shade. There's also ADA restrooms across the street there. There's also a kind of a packed dirt path around this area too that you can access as well. And birdability is all about accessible birding, making sure birding is available for everyone, whether you have mobility challenges, whether you have autism or are autistic, whether you are maybe sight challenged, things like that. Places like this are fantastic places to come.
You know, let's see, Ronique, you touched on something very interesting and important, and I know it's a passion of yours.
Check out our bufflehead that we got in the scope, and hopefully it stays put because they like to dive. Here we go.
So Ronique, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Let's see. So, you know, Ronique, you touched on something I know is a passion of yours, and it's something that Audubon is working on. And could you share your birdability experiences and work?
Yeah. So my birdability experiences are I was first introduced to it when I ran across an Audubon article on Virginia Rose. She is a woman who lives in Austin, Texas, who has been in a manual wheelchair for over 40 years, and she's a birder. She actually created a book on places to go in Austin that are accessible for birding spots. And I was very inspired by the work that she had been doing. And so I joined on with her and a bunch of other volunteers to be birdability captains. So we are called birdability captains, and we're here to promote birdability, which is making birding accessible for those with mobility challenges and or other challenges, and also encouraging organizations to make these places more accessible by having tactile signage for people who are sight challenged, maybe audio guides for people who are also sight challenged. Birding is not just about what you see, it's what you hear, what you experience. There's a lot of different ways to bird, and not everybody has access to the outdoors. So making that access more inclusive and more diverse and more accessible for people is really the goal of birdability.
All right. So now, thank you so much for that, Ronique. And for all these things that we're talking about, whether it's veterans' rights or the Feminist Bird Club or birdability, we'll have links on our website tomorrow. We're going to post the video of that what we're showing today, and along with that will be information about those things I spoke about, as well as GSP. So I'm sorry, Green Seattle Partnership, for those who are not as hip as me and Maya are. But yeah, so right now we're in Seward Park. And what are we looking at, Sean and Maya? I'm sorry, Sean and Irene.
You should go to the cage to it. There's a bunch of action over there.
Okay, let's pull that up.
We're on mute.
So
who are we looking at?
We're here at the Audubon Center, and Irene put out some suet cakes last night to get the birds warmed up for us. And right now we're in a nice mixed flock. We've got some nuthatches. I think there's a dark-eyed junco on the screen there, and we've had some chickadees. There's a ruby crown kinglet going around, golden crown. Sometimes there's just a big cloud of them, but the dog walkers, and you know, we're sharing the space.
So now we're looking at a couple of songbirds. Are there other birds people can find in Seward Park?
Oh, most definitely. Joey, do you have it shared on the screen here? We can find robins, bald eagles. There's a shore, so we can find a lot of birds that Ed's looking at. We can get deep into the woods, and there's ravens.
Varied thrushes. I saw a varied thrush yesterday.
Yeah.
One of my favorite birds.
You'll want to pay attention to all levels, like, you know, the ground litter. There's going to be different birds hanging out there looking for, you know, insects and what have you, maybe some tree droppings. You look up in the canopy, you'll see a whole variety of folks in there, and then, you know, up even higher up in the sky, and also along the water. So, you know, there's just a variety of different birds here. A lot of what, like you mentioned, though, the focus is really on the backyard birds, so something that's really accessible to everybody. Right now, while we're home, kind of locked indoors, you can still bird from home very easily. Just, you know, open your ears and open your eyes, and you'll be surprised at what you see.
Truly.
You know, the very
great
thrush
way
is
to
one of my favorite birds, and I love the sound that they make. I'm going to see if I can play it for everyone right now. It's kind of haunting, but they're a very loud bird too. So let me see if I can play that sound for you. Oh goodness. I might have to come back to that later. Ed, you got something going on out there?
Hold on, he's leaving a veteran behind. I need to catch up to Ed.
Okay.
Where are we
How
going?
about
We're in
you,
the
Armand
trenches.
and
Let's do
Sydney?
this.
What are you all looking at?
Ed, what are you looking
We
at?
are looking out at the water. Oh,
Did y'all catch up with each other?
All right, we were seeing a harbor seal just a minute ago. Let's see if he'll pop back up for us. Yeah, he's got your camera on there. So if you see any birds. All of our birds out here tend to dive pretty quickly. So the second we get an eye on them, they are gone. But we've had a couple harbor seals playing around, which is always fun to watch.
So now you both are on the Sound. What are going to be some of the big differences between going to a place like, Seward Park or the Montlake Phil and actually being out on the Sound?
Yeah, so we're out on saltwater, which means we're going to get to see some of those birds that you wouldn't see on freshwater quite as often. Some of the really neat birds that we see out here are a wide variety of grebes, and of course scoters. Scoters are really neat to see, and you're not going to find those in freshwater. What are some other saltwater birds that we might see, Armand?
A lot of ducks, wintering grebes. We're still seeing some of the resident birds here, like the bald eagles you see at Seward Park. Right, there's a lot of brushy areas over here, so we're seeing towhees, we're seeing some house finches. I even saw some bush tits when I was walking in, a large group of bush tits in a bush. So seeing a lot of birds out here. The water's pretty calm out here today, so we're getting good looks at birds, but the birds that are out here are mostly grebes, which are diving a lot.
Well, now, Armand, you're from New York, the East Coast person. What can you tell us about the differences between being on the East Coast and being in the Pacific Northwest in terms of birds you might find?
There's a lot of similarities, in coastal, and there's a lot of wintering birds here. I would say that there's a lot of more birds like puffin keys that you might see in I lived in New England and I used to go up to Gloucester and the areas off the coast to go bird watching. So you'd see a lot more alcids, I think, in that region than you would see here in the Pacific Northwest. But we do get some puffins in the summertime. I know I've seen puffins here, but one of the specialty birds I'd look for in the East Coast would be alcids, a lot more merlets, birds like that. So.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And I see Ed and Ryan are on the move. What are you thinking about and looking at there, folks?
Here, Ed, why don't you tell us what we're looking at over here?
Well, I haven't got him in yet, so hang on a minute because it's a wood duck, but he's moving around. He was preening, and I had him in the scope, and then he decided he was beautiful enough, and he moved on. But
so what makes a wood duck for someone that just does not know?
It's one of our resident ducks, and it's probably the most spectacularly colored and marked duck that we have. Some people would say the harlequin duck that we see on the Sound is equally as attractive, and I could dispute that, but wood ducks for our freshwater ducks are just beautiful with their colors and white markings on their heads. I'm trying to get him in the scope here. He's moving around.
Yeah, and I'm gonna share a picture of a wood duck.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, I'm trying to get him on here with the.
We're having some good GD action.
Absolutely.
At the Audubon Center as well.
Gorgeous birds there. Okay, so I'll put you all back up there. On whose camera, Sean? Your camera or Irene's?
Currently, either one will do. I think Irene has a chickadee.
Okay. I'm going to get rid of this wood duck and we'll see what else we can see. I used to work at a lumber yard, and we had a lot of wood ducks. Every time somebody's walking around with a 2x4, I would say, you know what? I think you would duck if you want to get hit. Anyway, so who are we seeing, Sean?
Well, right now, nothing. But
okay.
They'll be back, and I'll let you know.
All right. Are you guys going to explore some other areas of the park?
We're considering it. We might go up, see if the eagles are out.
All right. Hey, maybe we'll bump into that pileated woodpecker that we saw a week or so ago.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe we'll pack up and do that.
Hear a little chickadee. Oh, there's a chickadee.
Yep, on Irene's.
Quintessential bird sound there. Chickadee dee dee dee.
Right now, so Irene, I'm looking at some plants there, and that is the native plant garden. Can you kind of give us a little insight to the connection between the supporting birds in our area and native plants?
Show it.
Joey, you gotta show the screen too. You might be showing your camera. Not sure.
Okay.
Pop it just to make sure.
So Joey asked a good question there. We really focus here at Audubon and GSP, Green Seattle Partnership. The veterans help out a lot too with just making sure that we're supporting native plant life that birds and pollinators are attracted to. They need that for their health. They need it for their food supply. It's just the stuff that grows here naturally supports our ecosystems. So it's really critical that, we're managing that properly and trying to support that the best that we can. I've also had a lot of groups of folks, teens, tweens, in between, anything you could think of, multiple of different folks come out and help out with the plantings, and that's always a good time. Usually that's what we're doing on the day, but we'll get back to it once we can gather again.
Well, and
Another fun
that's
thing
what
about
the
native
Green Seattle
plants.
Partnership is all about. We're restoring all these locations in the city of Seattle, and we're putting out native plants. I think we are putting in about 250 plants, native, trees and shrubs in Seward Park this season. This is the time to put them in because we're going to get that great water, that amount of water and rain coming through the winter. And Maya, I see you unleashed your mute, like you want to say something.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that we do have lots of volunteer opportunities. We've just now restarted after about 7.5 months of not having volunteer events, but they are back at our website. You can either go to greenseattle.org/volunteer or seattle.greencitypartnerships.org to see all of our volunteer events, which are back in many parks across the city.
That is great. Thank you, Maya. And so Seward Park is a partner in that, and we will be returning to some of our reforestation activities and making sure people are continuing that beautiful legacy that Seward Park has of being one of the premier spots for not only birds, but other wildlife. If you've been there recently, we have coyotes who are running around there, probably more rabbits than we really need, but we got raccoons. One of my favorites, the little Douglas squirrels. And so they all subsist on the plants that are native to this region. And so we are there to support those plants and make sure that the plants, animals, and the people can enjoy them for a long, long time. And so let's see. So Ronique, Armand, Ryan, what do we got out there?
We have an awesome great blue heron that's hunting right now. Can you see that?
Oh, okay, let's see. Okay.
It's just perched on this log. It's hunting in the pond here at Meadowbrook.
Now, what is that? Oh, I can kind of see it. What is that?
It's a great blue heron.
Ah, okay, beautiful.
Maybe put it closer. We'll try to put it in the scope here so you can see. There we go. Is that?
And I just want to point out, Joey, how many people we've seen on the boardwalk today. We've only been here for a few minutes, and we've had birders walk by and talk to us, ask us what we've been seeing. We've had kids, adults, people with pets. So this is a really well-traveled urban nature park right here. And as Ronique was mentioning, because it's so accessible with the boardwalk, we've had people with their, canes and with bicycles, all enjoying the same area.
I had a woman walk by with a seeing eye dog just a second ago. So it's a very flat, open, wide boardwalk with the railing is slatted so you can see through. So that's another thing about accessibility is the height of the railing for someone sitting in a chair is a consideration. You want it to be under 3 feet so someone sitting in a wheelchair can still look out. And because these these railings are slatted like this, they have a lot of open space that you can look through, which is really nice.
And can you tell people where the Meadowbrook Pond is? They may not be familiar with that.
Yeah, Meadowbrook Pond is it's in the Wedgwood neighborhood, northeast Seattle. It is on 35th and about 105th. And it if you blink, you kind of might miss it. There's street parking on 35th, and then also across. We just got buzzed by an Anna's hummingbird, by the way. We're in their territory, I guess. There is parking on the street, and also at Meadowbrook Community Center across the street, there is parking, like I mentioned before. And so this is just an amazing spot. And there's like red twig dogwood here. There's all kinds of black twinberry, a lot of native plants, spirea, things like that, nuka rose, and all that habitat really supports the urban wildlife here. And you just get an amazing array of birds. I think over 120 species of birds have been seen in this little tiny pocket park here. Well, it's not really a park. It's, like I said, its main function is a stormwater detention facility. But as a default, it's a lovely urban place in the city to come and look at birds or listen to birds.
So Dinah raised the question about the feeders that she saw in Seward Park. I know we're looking at 2 suet feeders, and suet is primarily fat, but I know the ones we have have other things mixed in there. But those are a great source of fat for birds, especially in the winter. We had one in what we call a tail prop feeder, which allows larger birds to hang on and feed more comfortably than the standard cage suet feeders. So we're really happy to do that. Is any of our birders want to talk more about feeding birds and how to attract birds to your yards?
Joe, if I could just take a second, I'm just checking the deal on my phone, and I just want to just share one thing, like the importance of the story and the soul of birding, right? And so, you know, out in our ceremony, out in Eastern Washington, I fell in love with the swallow for the first time, right? And saw that it was so light and airy and dance and free. And so this is how, like, we use nature as a mirror. And it was the first time I like really felt alive and a part of nature again. And so like just coming out here today reminds me of that, and surrounded by community, right, in this little virtual circle we got going on. So I just wanted to express that and to thank you all, right, for giving me in this moment and our people this moment as well. And we need you, all of you. And I love all of this, providing this nature that is all a part of us to everyone. No one owns this. It's all a part of us. And so, yeah, just deep gratitude. I just want to express gratitude to you all. Thank you.
You know, well said, Ryan. And I think one of the things that many people who have come to live in Seattle have found is that this place offers so much in regards to nature. This is a place where we have over 420 city-run parks, and then there's other green spaces beyond that. And to find nature in Seattle is not difficult. I think someone says most people live within a 15-minute walk of a natural space, and the birds are in most of those places. And I know for me, when I go out into the forest, I don't necessarily have to look for birds. If I sit still for a while, the birds will find me. And you know, you keep your ears peeled, you blur your vision and kind of look for movement. And yes, that association with nature is something that's special if people give it an opportunity to make its way into their lives. Thank you for that. Now, Irene, I see you're walking around up there somewhere. Where are you at right now?
So right now we're kind of looking at a restoration site that we've been working on. Geez, Ed started it a few years ago at least. This used to all be blackberries. That all got ripped out. And then we've been planting since then. Sorry, we're walking, so I'm a little winded. Yeah, so there's that. But we're also trying to head up to, if you look over this yonder, there is an eagle's nest that they've been using. Oh geez, Joey, what, the last
Probably
5 years at
years.
least.
Yes, 5 or 6 years. Yeah.
What was that? So yeah, they've been using that. We've been seeing successful eaglets born there, which is really great. If you think about, they were on the endangered species list about 30 years ago. So they were on the brink of extinction and now they're thriving. So it's really great. Just the stories of birds and their success stories here. It's something that has just captivated me. And that's why I kept coming back, you know.
All right. Let's see. Is Terry still out there? We still got Terry.
Oh, you hear me out here?
Yeah, I can. So Terry works for Audubon Washington. She coordinates the chapters and their activities. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do in your detail at Audubon?
Sure, yeah. Audubon Washington works with 25 local chapters across the state of Washington. And each chapter is its own organization and they all have incredible projects we're working on. And so my job is to just work with all of them to make sure we're on the same page, working toward the same goals, and kind of building community within those chapters so we can all help each other.
Now one of the things you all work on and is coming up is going to be, typically we will go down to Olympia and talk about conservation issues to the powers that be down there. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're not going to do that this year because we have to physically distance, but we are still going to hold a virtual advocacy day coming up this December 9th. You're all invited to register and attend. We're going to be meeting with, right now we have 19 meetings set up with different legislators around the state. And we have chapters are leading small groups of folks to talk with their legislators about the issues we care about most, which is mostly acting on climate, and you know, protecting habitat. And again, you know, I think one of my favorite messages about Audubon is that if you protect the birds, you protect the earth. You know, if we focus on just birds, it turns out we end up protecting everything else too. So birds are such a graceful narrative and symbol for the conservation we do across the state.
Now that's great. So one way or another, we're getting to Olympia, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Super. Hey, so Sydney and Armand, what's going on out there on the water?
We're having the same issue as earlier where birds are continuously diving. But if you highlight Armand's screen, it looks like we've got a grebe right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of grebes come through. A lot of redneck grebes, surprisingly. A lot of horned grebes. Groups of 3 or 4 of them at a time. We've seen surf scoters out here. Lots of gulls, lots of mule gulls. They're over here by that the wastewater, I think, facility that's here at Discovery. There's a large group of mule gulls. Yeah, we've seen a lot of birds, a lot of diving birds.
Yeah, a couple buffalo heads and some red-breasted mergansers as well.
Correct,
so now, are these birds down here for the winter, or can we find them there all the time?
A lot of the birds we're seeing are just here for the winter, but there are some as well that are here year-round. Some of the grebes, you know, they'll come out here for the winter onto the sound, and then they'll go back in the spring to breed on wetlands.
All right, now I'm gonna go over to Sean in Seward Park. Sean, what are we looking at?
Joe, could we get you for a second before we may run out of battery for a second?
Okay, not a problem.
Talk about what we're seeing right here.
Yeah, Ryan's phone is getting pretty low on battery, so we may end up having to cut out a little earlier just because battery issues.
Not a problem for me, at least.
Which are our smallest duck with a white head. 2 males were fighting one another for hierarchy and dominance to mate with a female. So there was a lot of thrashing and splashing and bill biting, and one finally ended up prevailing and went over to a female, but she was playing hard to get. She wasn't impressed with his fighting prowess, evidently.
And what bird is this, Ed? What bird are you talking about?
That bird is the bufflehead, which is our smallest duck we have. It's an Arctic.
And I'll just show one. You can tell. You can unmute it.
Hey, Joey, we've got a bufflehead here. We had one in the scope and Ronique took a great picture of it.
Okay, I got your camera on. Let's take a look at that. And we may have lost Ed and Ryan. So, oh, I see that great bufflehead. Now, one of the interesting things about that bufflehead is that they look like they're black and white when they're way out, but when you get up close, you see that their head is beautiful fluorescent greens and purples and yellows, and it's just a gorgeous bird. I know we used to always look at that as the first sign of winter when we would find a bufflehead in Seward Park out there on Andrews Bay. And you know, like I said, Ed had to leave us, but I just want to kind of share some of the stuff he does. You know, Ed's an outstanding naturalist, and you can see him here in his midst out there making sure, you know, young people are learning more about birds. He has a blog, so if you ever want to find out what's going on in nature, Ed has a great blog, and once again, we'll be featuring that in our summation of what we're doing today. You'll be able to look at our video, this video later on today, and find all these links that I've been talking about. So thank you, Ed and Ryan. And if you can get back on, we love it. But otherwise, thank you for what you've done today. Now, Sean, what are we looking at?
So this is the bald eagle's nest at Seward Park at the upper parking lot. I don't know if you can hear, but behind us, there's some construction getting started for the day. This is the nest they've been using the past 5 or 6 years. They've fledged a few pairs and groups of baby eagles, and sometimes they'll come back and you have the teenagers trying to mooch off the parents again, and that's always fun to watch. You can often find people craning their necks looking up at here. The birds, I've looked under it and found fish carcasses. The crows get pretty upset about them sometimes, but that nest we're looking at has got to be a queen-sized mattress or something. Like, it's really large. Of course, it's only as big as your screen is, but even in person, it looks tiny from far, but it's a very large nest.
Great. So that's so Ronique, I know you're a person who likes to bird all over the place. What are some really close places that people in Seattle can get to and do some birding? And, you know, with or without binoculars, what are some of the suggestions you have for getting out there and looking and listening to birds?
So I actually have a website and a whole page devoted to urban birding, and places you can go that are urban birding spots and accessible birding spots on my website, which is shebirds.com. But some of my favorite places are places close to me because I don't have a car. So they're places I can get to either by public transportation, which makes a spot very accessible as well. How close is it to public transportation? Or I get there by bike, or I get there by feet. So some of my favorite spots are Meadowbrook, where we're at today. Also Montlake Phil or Union Bay Natural Area, where we're learning about today. Also Green Lake. Magnuson Park is one of my favorites as well. I go there quite often. And that's very easy to get to. And that's just a gem of a place. There's all kinds of ponds there. And then you have Lake Washington, and there's awesome wetlands, and you have a lot of beaver activity there. So it's just a fabulous place to look for urban wildlife. So those are some of my top places.
Armand, who were we just looking at there a minute ago? Oh, there we go. Oh, now who knows their gulls?
This is a tricky one.
Yeah, we've been trying to figure this one out.
Does anyone want to guess before what we say, what we think it is?
Not me.
Is it a California
Ed
gull?
would probably know. It could be a hybrid gull. We're thinking a hybrid gull.
So we're thinking this is an Olympic gull. The glaucous wing and western can make an Olympic gull, is what we call it. If anyone can confirm that for us, that would be excellent.
So I'm looking at a couple of questions there. Somebody wants to know, what's a good app to help identify birds?
Oh, pretty good.
I'm pretty fond of course, the Audubon app, as well as Merlin Bird ID. Merlin Bird ID is really cool because you can take a picture through the app or find a picture that's on your phone, and then it will help figure out what bird you're looking at. So I really love that. Both the Merlin app and the Audubon app are free. So there's that added bonus there. And I think both of them will actually play for you the bird calls. So that's a great way to kind of figure out what you're looking at. Let's see.
I've got some great birds.
Someone mentioned using hot pepper suet if you have squirrels hanging around your feeders. And let's see what else people are asking. Okay, Kathy Conley, who's a master birder, said it's a hybrid Western glaucous wing gull. How's that sound?
Yeah, that's what we were thinking, is a hybrid Western with glaucous wing, which is called an Olympic gull as well. Oh, let's move the camera so we're on it.
Is it possible it's a Thayer's gull? Do we have those in this region?
That would be pretty unlikely, I think. I think those are pretty rare to find. And I am not great with gulls, but I believe those are a bit more pale. Again, not great with gull ID, but I'm pretty sure this is the glaucous wing Western hybrid, also called the Olympic gull. You won't be able to find that one on Merlin, unfortunately. They don't have any of the hybrids on there.
All right. Well, thank you for that question, and thank you for that answer. What else do we have out there that we're looking at? Ronique, Sean, and actually right now, I think Maya is getting ready to leave us. Maya, did you have any parting words for us before we say goodbye for the day to you?
Yeah, thanks, Joey. No, I just loved that statement of if you save the birds, you save the planet. I think that's an awesome mantra. And as we're seeing today, there are so many different habitats that all of these birds are in and different ways to protect all of those different habitats. So thank you all so much for being here. And we hope you participate in other Green Seattle Days activities as well at greenseattle.org/GSD.
And how many more days are you all delivering programs this week? It's celebrating Green Seattle Week.
Today is our live walks and talks. So we have 6 walks and talks focused on different parts of our ecosystem today. So that's where I'm about to head off to our live carbon talk. And then I'll be doing a live native plant walk later. And we have a tree walk and a salmon walk and a fungus walk. And those will all be on the Green Seattle Partnership Instagram Live if anyone wants to join.
Thank you so much, Maya. And thank you for inviting us to share the Green Seattle Week with you all. And best of luck. And I'm sure I'll see you around soon.
Yeah, thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone.
All right. So I got a question for all the birders out there. Someone's asked, I often hear a bird off in the distance while I'm walking around King County that sounds like a kitten in distress. Any idea? Who might that be?
Spotted towhee.
Yeah.
Spotted towhee, that's what I was thinking. Are you good at mimicking the spotted
That's
towhee?
my spark bird.
Hey, Joey, Ronique just said that the spotted towhee was her spark bird.
Was it what bird?
It was her spark bird.
Okay, can you explain what that means?
So a spark bird is the first bird you saw that got you interested in birding. Some people call it a gateway bird or a spark bird. So the spotted towhee is my spark bird. So I'm very fond of them.
Okay, I think I'm going to try to play a spotted towhee. Let's see if we can do this right this time. That's not the call I was looking for.
Hey, I've got some beautiful birds on my scope right now.
Okay, let's do that, Sean.
Oh, they just took off.
I caught a bit of it. Who was that?
It's actually, there might be a better shot right now. It is, dun, da, da, da. Wait for it. Oh, darn, it's only their nature to evade me, so it's the common crow.
All right, you're not gonna live around here without seeing crows. And Ronique, what are we looking at on your phone?
We have a beautiful gadwall couple. They're a duck that we get here in the winter. So they've arrived here, probably about 2 months ago or so. I started seeing them around, and the male is going to be the one at the top that has kind of a grayish overall coloring with a herringbone pattern on its chest. And the female is the one below that looks a lot like a female mallard. In fact, you really have to check them out closely because the female gadwall and female mallard look so similar. But this is a couple here, and this is the time of year where ducks are actually getting together and seeing if they get along and seeing if they want to spend some time together. So I've seen some really interesting duck behavior lately, some pair bonding with ducks bobbing their heads and even some mating. So that's what we're looking at today, is this beautiful gadwall couple.
All right. So I have a question here. How many new gulls are here for the season, and who are there? Who are they? They're trying to learn more about gulls, which has always been a deficit for me, learning about gulls. Anybody out there has a particular penchant for gulls and gull identification?
I'm not great with gulls, but I can answer some of that question.
Mm-hmm.
So some gulls that will come down for the fall and winter. One of the neatest ones that I like to find this time of year is Heermann's gull. And they are probably one of the easiest ones to identify because they have this neon orange bill. And they kind of have a gray body instead of just gray wings. They also have a gray body and a white head. So they kind of have a unique look. I don't know if you can pull one up on like a photo of one up for us, because unfortunately I don't see any here today. But that's one of my favorite ones that comes down for the winter. And mew gulls as well. You don't usually see those all the time here. There's occasionally you'll see one in the summer, but those are another visitor for the winter. And then some of the gulls we see here year round are glaucous wing gulls and ring-billed gulls as well. And of course, some of the many hybrids like the Olympic gull that we just saw.
Now, for me, I think that, and actually, Irene. Hey, Irene.
Yes.
I'm gonna come back to you, talk about woodpecker holes that you just went past. But let's see. Sydney, would you say that getting really deep into the knowledge like that is a good opportunity for a Sibley's Guide or a book like that really digs deep into all the different idiosyncrasies of these different gulls? Is that probably the best bet?
Yeah, there are some specialized books specifically on like gulls that you could look for. I don't have any off the top of my head right now, unfortunately, but they are a particularly challenging type of bird to ID.
Mm-hmm.
So getting a specialized book just for gulls would be helpful to learn them, because a lot of them, it's going to take a lot of studying and a lot of expertise to tell some of them apart. But there are some easy ones like the Heermann's gull or the ring-billed gull that have some really nice, easy to identify features. So you could use a Sibley's Guide to figure out those. It's just some of the really tricky ones that you might need a little bit more help on.
Super. Hey, so Irene, I see you found a tree that has a lot of woodpecker holes in it. Can you talk to us about like the different woodpeckers we have and in particular the pileated woodpecker?
Sure. We have a few varieties of woodpeckers here at Seward Park and in Seattle in general. So we have some that are really teeny tiny. They're really adorable. Those are the downy woodpeckers. You mentioned the pileated. That's going to be our largest. And that is your typical, what I've heard you explain them as the, what's the woodpecker cartoon?
Woody Woodpecker.
Woody Woodpecker, yes, exactly. Thank you. So woodpeckers are really interesting. They have really long tongues that go up and around their brain. And so when they are feeding in a tree, they're digging these holes and then releasing that tongue to really dig in and get to the insects inside.
All right. So let's see. Thank you for that. And saying goodbye to Kathy Connolly. Someone is saying that they can see Heermann's gulls at the breakwater by Edmonds Fishing Pier. And let's see. Gulls, thank you. Thank your gulls so much. Helpful for me and my students here in Alki. And somebody wants to know, could that sound that sounds like a cat, could that be a Caspian tern? Does anyone want to comment on that?
Caspian terns do sound a little bit cat-like, but it's a much more rougher, raspier sound, I think. I think it would be best play the sound for one to tell the difference between them, if you can do that.
Okay, and I got my hearing installed if anybody wants to hear that. Certainly not your classic gull sound you got going on there. All right. Well, we've kind of come to the end of our program. And I definitely want to thank all the wonderful volunteers and staff who have helped put this event together. Thank you for getting up early and going out to these locations and spotting what's going on. I hope you have some hot coffee or cocoa or something else like that waiting for you when you get back home. I think that this is a great program, and I encourage people to go out there and look and listen for birds and find out what's going on out there. Connect with these organizations. Like I said, we've been recording this, and I'm gonna put everybody on screen here for a moment. Let's see, boom, 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 and boom, boom, boom. And let's see, get rid of that. Get out there, look for birds, listen for birds. We recorded this, so you can find it on our rewind page. Just go to Seward Park Audubon Center, maybe later today, but no later than tomorrow morning, and you'll find it there. You'll also find those links for Veterans Rights, the Feminist Bird Club, the Audubon Washington day when they're going to go down to Olympia virtually. You'll find out more about what Ed's working on. We'll find out more about Green Seattle Partnership, and just stay connected with birds and nature. You'll find that it gives you a little bit of peace when everything else is going crazy. The birds love everybody, and I hope you all do too. So thank you all very much for connecting with us today. Once again, thanks to all our volunteers, all the veterans who are out there on our program. I know you're out there listening and watching. Thank you all too. So have a great day, and see you in the woods looking for birds. Thank you.
Cool.